Good evening, sir. Good evening, sirs.
Evening.
Thank
Take
you,
your
sir.
seat, please. Anshu Priya, Dr. Anshu Priya. Dr. Anshu Priya, you are MBBS from All India Medical Institute, Patna, and you have done your this thing, junior residency naturally, and then after junior residency, have you done anything, or you are doing full time preparation?
Sir, in the third wave of COVID, I was associated with Bihar Disaster Management Authority as a telemedicine consultant for COVID-19 pandemic.
Mhm. That was a part-time kind of a thing.
Yes, sir.
Part-time.
Yes.
After that, of course, you are now doing it full-time, this preparation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you are, now, this medical education, since you are from this field, medical education, what we have seen here, that the recent incidences of Ukraine and Russian war, where most of our medical students who don't get admission here, they have to go here and there. So one of the large number of them went to Ukraine. Why Ukraine? Because they were cheaper compared to many other countries. So parents could afford. So they went to, and then what happened? We saw they got one of killed also in the crossfire, Russian troops. So now government has woken up. They said, okay, we'll have to now make it affordable for our students in the country. Now, so we have got a dichotomy. We have got a very paradoxical situation in the country where we need doctors. There's no doubt. India, the ratio of patient to doctor is so skewed that India needs many, many more doctors. But unfortunately, the doctors, even if the doctors get trained, I mean, they pass, they don't want to go to rural areas. So where actually the doctors are needed, the cities are full of doctors, different types of doctors. So there may not be necessity of so many competing doctors, cities, most of the cities. But where the doctors are needed, they are not going, and they are not there. They hardly any infrastructure, any doctor. But at the same time, India need more doctors also. India, they don't have medical colleges so many. So government is thinking of opening more colleges. So at the one hand, they don't have colleges. We need more doctors. We need more colleges, but we need colleges and we need doctors in places where the doctors are not willing, the investors are not willing to open colleges because they are not ready to open colleges in small places where the return will not be so much. It's a business, it's a commercial interest. So suppose you are made you get into IAS, God willing, and then you become the health secretary, medical education. Maybe let us take your own state, Bihar is absolutely skewed in terms of availability of medical infrastructure or facilities. So, what will be your steps you will take to sort? You understand the problem. Now, the problem everybody who have been saying for the last 70 years. So, how do you find the investment, find the government, if not government, the private investment, private investor, then the students who have to be affordable also for them. So and then the education, the medical, the this admission test, for example, is normal case. It's very difficult to get in also. So the people who can't get in, they have to pay so many because their parents will go to any extent to, and they can't afford. So the huge financial burden on them, with the loans and loans also banks. So it's a very Every year, the country sees such pathetic incidences of parents going bankrupt. The students are going here and there, helter skelter there, and but still the problem is solved. And the Indians suffer for the lack of proper health infrastructure, health care. So as a health secretary for health medical education, for example, how do you kind of tackle in a broad frame, maybe it's not a short term problem, but at least on a long term, at least going toward the direction of solving. With the Ukraine war has really jolted us. See, our children are getting killed or getting so much of harassment, so much of suffering. Our small 20, 19, 20-year-old boys and girls in that cold climate, the borough, the heavy snowfall, they don't have anything to eat and walking miles and miles in a foreign country. So the pathetic, the entire world has seen Indian medical students. So you are in charge of medical education in your place, Bihar, for example, or maybe India, whatever you choose, how you tackle, deal with this.
Sir, as rightly said, Ukraine crisis has posed a grave crisis and awared us about the quantum of medical education and the required infrastructure. Sir, if I were to be posted as the health secretary, for example, sir, of my own state, Bihar, sir, I would like to begin from there. Sir, I would take the following steps. Sir, firstly, we see that the number of MBBS seats in our country are limited to 90,000, out of which only half are in the public sector and the half are in the private sector. So this problem will need redressal at public sector and private sector separately. So for the public sector hospitals, the first thing that we could do is, so we could upgrade the district hospitals and then amalgamate them or have a combination with the centers of higher medical education. For example, sir, we have district hospitals in my own place of education at Patna. So those hospitals could be upgraded, or they could be having some sort of linkage with All India Institute of Patna or other colleges. So secondly, right now the intake in many government colleges is restricted. For example, sir, newer AIMS just has an intake of 100 students. But sir, looking at the capacity and my own personal experience, it could be enlarged to at least 200, sir. Sir, if we are able to do that, then we could create more seats, sir. So thirdly, as the government of India has also planned that there should be one medical college in one district and a foundation of more aims like institutions in the nation. But sir, as we do this, I also believe that infrastructure and quality of medical education should not be compromised. So sir, this should be done at the public level, sir. Sir, as far as the private sector is concerned, sir, the cost of setting up a medical college or a hospital is huge. And sir, as stated by Niti Aayog also, public-private partnership with good incentive to the private sector can be a way forward. So for that, we will have to nudge and incentivize the private sector so that they open up medical colleges. So initially, they might need hand-holding by the government, but in due course of time, as you said, sir, this also has a business facet attached to it. Sir, but if they are incentivized, they will be doing good job, sir. So thirdly, as you mentioned about the shortage of doctors in rural areas, so for that, I believe first thing is we need to inculcate students from rural areas into our medical education, sir. Because sir, if people from rural areas turn out doctors, they have got a tendency to go back to their own places and serve there, sir. So this mindset lacks in urban counterparts, sir. And sir, secondly, we need to incentivize the doctors to work in PSCs by providing the correct and the adequate usage of their talent, sir. So, sir, this is how broadly I would
But
like to.
this was attempted, this incentivizing the students to work in rural areas, because they are told to, unless they work in rural PHCs, primary health center, they will not be given their degrees. I suppose there are some law in between. So they circumvented that, the Delhi medical students, they circumvented by having going to some small dispensaries just outside the city, which is basically the town only, Delhi only, and then they showed it as a rural area. So there are in many ways the medical students are also very intelligent people. They are the most intelligent among the students. So they circumvent that, but main is not the technicalities of it, they want a stamp. But I know somebody who used to go to some small place by bus in some 2 3 hours, and they will sit in there and just come back and prepare for their MD exam. I mean, they will go there and prepare for the MD exam because most of the good students, they all prepare for the MD, so they hardly have any time to do their normal MBBS internship there. So there are a lot of ways the medical students, they circumvent all these rules. But point is ki how to kind of motivate them, and they kind of inculcate in them the desire to come to the rescue or serve these rural people. This thing. So that of course is the in that. Do you think that the role of the doctors themselves, the for the Australian fraternity, the senior doctors, their role is very important because they can themselves set some examples to start with them, seeing their senior doctor in the same, say nephrology, for example, the senior nephrologist, a junior maybe some fellow will say ki such a senior doctor is going to some rural areas and doing some shramdan. For them, money has no meaning because they themselves earn so much money. So maybe some kind of a devoting some time or that kind of a setting example perhaps will be some this thing. Or they said ki that no doctor worth the salt is a good one, is a roaring private practice or in a senior position is in Patna or something. Yeah, no time. He's like, I don't have time to go to some PHC or CHC in Munger, and so for me. So I think the problem probably lies in their own brethren, in their own brotherhood, the doctor brotherhood, or perhaps perhaps it is be setting example. I mean, perhaps it could be one of their ways, or what is your thinking on that?
Yes, sir. Sir, I think it's a very noble suggestion. And sir, as far as you said that this problem is mainly because of the brotherhood, sir, there are two aspects to it. Sir, the first aspect is if a doctor has had his degree from a premier institute, and sir, he may not be able to do justice to his degree in the rural areas. So because facilities are not there, or he cannot perform art of the state surgeries over there. So, sir, at certain points of time, he also feels that I have done a lot of work and I'm not able to do justice to it, sir. So, sir, this has to be addressed if we create infrastructure. Sir, coming to your suggestion, sir, very adequately put that, sir, if the senior doctors themselves have this tendency to go and do some kind of shramdan at the primary health center, sir. It is a good move, sir. Sir, I would like to quote my own institution, AIMS Patna. Sir, in the community and family medicine department, there we have the senior faculty members who visit the two PSCs located close to our college, sir. And sir, that motivates a lot of young doctors like us to even go and serve people over there. Because sir, we also get a lot of experience when we serve the rural people and get to know their issues, sir.
Okay, now a little digressing from this. Now you are from Bihar. So what are the? It is said also. Not only I am saying. They are saying is that the Bihar, they have the best of the human being. The quality wise, the people from Bihar are the best of knowledge wise, intelligence wise. They are the best in the country. But development indices wise, is one of the worst in the country. So there is a whole lot of disconnect between the quality of manpower available and the actually the what is the results for everybody to see. So you are now change your position. Now you are no longer a secretary in charge of medical education. Now you are charge of secretary development commissioner, Bihar. So what will be your challenges, and how will you make Bihar one of the best? Bihar used to be the 50s used to be one of the best administered country in the
Yes.
state in the country. The people used to follow Bihar, look up to Bihar, 50s, but then there was steady decline. So now we'll put Bihar back to that own golden period. You are development commissioner, the second most important bureaucrat in Bihar after chief secretary. So what steps you will take?
Yes, sir. So, as the Development Commissioner of Bihar, I would like to address the problems of Bihar at economic, social levels. Sir, at the economic levels, sir, the major issue of Bihar is the lack of industries and it is over reliance on the agricultural producer. And sir, therefore, for economic diversification, the first thing is we need to focus on what we already have, that is the industries, sir. So for that, food processing industries, and sir, especially industries of makhana, foxnut, sir. Of 80% of foxnut of the entire India comes from Bihar, sir. So foxnut, and sir, under one district, one product scheme. For example, sir, my own district has got this tendency of growing lemongrass, which is a very good health factor. So sir, these kind of food processing or agricultural produce needs to be marketed and branded well outside Bihar, sir. Sir, we need to incentivize them so that the mega food park scheme comes up there. So sir, for economic agricultural portion, I would do that. Sir, second aspect would be to attract industries to Bihar. Sir, industries will be attracted provided the ease of doing business is facilitated in Bihar, which will require steps at the governance level and maintenance of law and order. Sir, as the development commissioner, I shall also ensure that law and order prevails, and initiatives like, sir, adequate supply of electricity, which has been a very huge problem in industries not going to Bihar, so they need to be addressed. Sir, in the case of social issues, so this will be my broad plan for the economic aspect. For social issues, sir, sir, the issues with Bihar lie in the upliftment of girl children and lagging behind in girls' education, sir. So for that, we can ensure that yojanas like Kanya Uthan Yojana, Kanya Suraksha Yojana, so they need to be implemented in Bihar in full spirit. So we do have many yojanas and schemes, but the basic issue lies with their implementation. So if they are implemented well, sir, I can also raise the female labor force participation rate of Bihar, sir. And sir, the female of Bihar are very well equipped in handicrafts, in Madhubani painting, in different art forms of Bihar like Mithila architecture and painting. So sir, they could be mobilized in the form of self-help groups. So sir, their social upliftment can lead to the economic emancipation of Bihar as well, sir.
All these are very time-tested SHG formation and vocational training and traditional craft kind of incentivizing. But they're all known for the last so many years, maybe 30, 40 years. But why they are not taking place in Bihar?
Sir, as far as agriculture is concerned, I think, sir, we have not focused a lot on the food processing sector, sir. We have relied on the raw cereals like wheat and rice, which are exported out of Bihar. Sir, even we are not able to market makhana, which is one of the most important commodities, sir. So, sir, that branding and marketing of agricultural produce lacks in Bihar, sir. Sir, industries have not been able to come up because of geographical reasons, Bihar being a landlocked state, sir. And secondly, sir, because of the land fragmentation that has been there in Bihar, sir, it's difficult to consolidate a portion of land and allocate that to industries, sir. So, sir, these are the major issues on economic fronts. Sir, on social front, it is because of the kind of laggard implementation of schemes, I would say, sir, and the laggard implementation of law and order issues, sir, because of which we were not able to bring even the outskirts into the
Are the
mainstream.
politicians, you mean to say that the politicians who are in charge of implementing the schemes, they are not doing their job, or the bureaucrats who are in charge of implementing those schemes, they are not doing their job? What is the problem? The people themselves are not willing to kind of put pressure on the politicians and the bureaucrats. What exactly, what does where does the shoe pinch? What
Sir,
is the problem?
yes, sir. Sir, I think it's a bilateral problem. I would account it to both factors, as you said, sir. So, for people's point of view, I think that, so when we go and choose our leaders and cast our votes, sir, at that point of time, health and education should become a matter. Sir, in Bihar, social justice is given a lot of importance. So, therefore, these do not factor prominently in the manifestos of other parties as well, sir. As far as the government and bureaucracy is concerned, sir, both of them are doing very good job from at least last 15 years, sir. But sir, Bihar already lacks in so many parameters that, sir, we could still see some 5-7 years more for it to have a prosperous state, sir.
You are one of your interests is writing skit
Yes,
on
sir.
social issues. What is the latest skit you wrote?
Sir, latest skit I wrote was on impact of social media on children.
What was your finding there?
Sir, it was derived from my own cousin, a 13-year-old cousin of mine. We found that she was addicted to this social media a lot, and she is suffering because of that in her academics, sir. So, sir, that motivated me to write a skit on this, and sir, we performed it on the occasion of Holi, sir. And sir, it was a story about a teenager girl same age group as my cousin, sir. And sir, in that skit, I showed how her performance in the academics, her interaction with her own parents and family members suffered because of this. And she also fell into a trap of peer pressure because of the social media. And sir, at the end, my goal was to show the impact of counseling. Sir, how counseling by parents, by teachers could play a very pivotal role in bringing children out of this
In
menace.
your case, did it help counseling? In your case,
Yes, sir.
it did help.
Yes, sir. It did help in my cousin's case, sir. She has now gone to school also. The schools have opened. And sir, I talk to her on phone daily. So, sir, I think she is doing quite well and we
You
look
got out
forward.
of this. Is a very dangerous addiction. It's
Sir,
a very dangerous.
she did not get out completely as of now, but sir, we are seeing some improvement in her. Is that what I get, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you know about the structure of Panchayati Raj in Bihar? How is it structured?
Sir, I may not be able to tell the exact beneficiation of it.
No idea.
Sir, Zila Panchayat, and then sir, at the gram level, we have Gram Sabha, sir, or the Gram Panchayat, sir. But sir, I would have to look a bit more into this aspect, sir.
Okay. What are the different types of urban local bodies in Bihar?
Sir, it is first is municipalities, sir. Sir, then we have township in Bakhtiarpur, sir. And then,
Township.
yes, sir.
It is called township only, or township is a town in physical terms.
Sir, as far as my limited knowledge goes, that is, it is
Okay.
known as township,
Okay,
sir.
okay, maybe.
Sir, and then, sir, I am aware of these two bodies mainly, sir, that is in Bihar, sir. I'll have to have a little more knowledge on this, sir. I'll read on this, sir.
How does a municipal body earn its revenue?
Yes, sir. So there are sources of revenue. So the first is the collection of land tax, sir, or the property tax from which they earn. Sir, second is, sir, recently Muni bonds. SEBI has allowed municipalities to bring out Muni bonds and earn revenue. And the third is
Has
through.
any municipality floated municipal bonds in your state?
Sir, I'm not aware if they
Okay.
have done. Sir, I think so. They have not done. Sir, I'll have to look at the latest data for that, sir. And sir, thirdly, it would be the usage of common land, sir. Common pasture land, grazing land, which fall within the ambit of local urban bodies, sir. So they also.
In the urban area, do you find any pasture and grazing land?
Sir, in Bihar, I think we do have, sir.
You do have.
So mine is an urban area. So
Hmm.
there also we have, sir.
Okay, maybe. And any other thing that they can raise their revenue from? Okay, let's come to the state government.
Yes.
What are the sources of revenue for a state government?
Yes, sir. Sir, the sources of revenue from state government could be from the tax and the non-tax sources, sir. Sir, from the tax sources, one is the state GST that accrues to the state government, sir. And sir, there is some amount of transfer under the guidance of Finance Commission that is shared between the center and the state, sir. Sir, on the non-tax front, sir, it will be basically from postal taxes or the stamp duties that are imposed in the states, sir. So, sir, that could be the kind. And sir, if the state government disinvests some of its enterprises, sir, that could also be a source of revenue for it, sir.
In Bihar, you have prohibition. So the revenue coming from excise must have gone. Do you have any estimate about how much revenue has been lost on this account?
Sir, I think it is close to 3,600 crores.
Okay. So how is the state government making it up?
Sir, state government, sir, the revenue loss due to prohibition has been a very prominent factor, sir. And sir, the recent surveys and the reports, what I read, sir, have shown that they have impacted the delivery of welfare services even in Bihar, sir, because of the loss of revenue, sir. So, sir, this has been an issue and the government has not been able to tackle the revenue loss because of it, sir.
Okay. One last thing. There is a thing called FIR,
Yes.
First Information Report. Why is it given so much importance in criminal justice system?
So, first information report is the first interface of the victim with the police station, sir, in which all the preliminary grievances of the coming person is addressed, sir. So, sir, that has a very legal validity in the court of law also, sir. And even if so further the case needs to be opened up, FIR would serve as a benchmark of what happened, sir, and what account the victim is himself giving. And then, sir, police can use it to corroborate with the further events, sir. So, sir, my limited knowledge is this much, sir.
And what is dying declaration?
Sir, dying declaration means that when a person is on the deathbed, he is about to die, and sir, in the presence of magistrate, he is giving his will, sir.
Will or what? Will means will is for inheritance purposes.
Sir, it means that he is trying to say something which should be admissible as a proof, sir. Sir, if I am correct on this. If...
Okay, in 2020, the government of India passed a social security code. Are you aware of it?
Yes, sir.
What was that?
Sir, social security code focused on bringing different sectors of economy under the umbrella of social security, like the gig workers, the platform workers. Sir, it also supported for the creation of a fund in which the social security could be accrued to different groups of employers. Sir.
There were two other codes also passed simultaneously. What were they?
So the first was one code on industrial relations, and second was one was on code on occupational safety, sir.
Anshu Priya, has the results of combined medical service been declared?
No, sir.
It's still awaiting.
Yes, sir, it's awaited, sir.
I am very happy that you have opted for medical science as paper. It's very rare. Normally, medical specialists or doctors, they opt for other humanities papers like philosophy, anthropology, like that. And very rarely medical science paper is offered as optional. It's something very praiseworthy.
Thank you, sir.
Recently, I read in the paper that our government at the center they propose to replace the Hippocratic oath by the oath of Charak, who was also a great doctor. So, does it make any difference, whether you take the oath in the name of Charak or Hippocrate? Doctors will always remain as such. Will it help them make more committed to their profession?
Sir, I think it will make them more committed to their profession. And sir, it has got a symbolic meaning, sir. Sir, I saw how the Charak oath would look like recently. And sir, when I compare it to Hippocratic oath, I find, sir, it more inclusive in the manner it has been written, sir. And sir, secondly, if we have a figure in medical science from our own culture, sir, that should be an icon for us also, sir. So, sir, that is my view that if this is implemented, because sir, it also says about the fact that not for the sake of any materialism, not for the sake of money, I vote to my patient only for the sake of humanity. So, sir, that is how the Charak oath looks like. So, sir, this is one reason. Sir, secondly, even Hippocratic oath has different forms in different colleges, sir. And so there are different versions of Hippocratic oath that are being taken, which is not uniform, sir. And sir, AIMS New Delhi takes the Charak oath, similar to Charak oath in its convocation ceremony, sir. We have certain institutes, sir, which already has this provision. So, sir, in this regard, I think it's a noble step, sir.
See, we find that a majority of doctors these days are resigning from their government posts and gravitating towards private sector hospitals, getting huge remunerations. And we must also remember that government subsidizes their education. Almost 100% subsidy is granted to higher education. So, is this really ethical on the part of the doctors to leave their government job? Because we need more doctors than administrators. In fact, if you are selected into IAS, we lose a good doctor. We might gain a good administrator or leader or whatever you call it, but we will lose a doctor. We need more doctors. There is a huge shortage of how many? 7 lakhs or so doctors in the country, including specialists, and then paramedical is still worse. So, and there is a lot of corruption in government hospitals also. You are aware, I am aware, in the procurement of machinery, equipment. So, how do you are the health secretary of your state? What steps will you take to remove corruption, at least, from health sector?
Sir, I would take the following steps, sir. Sir, the first issue that I have seen is the nexus that occurs. So, for example, the nexus between doctor and people supplying medicines, doctor nexus, and the third is the doctor lab nexus, and doctor and nexus between people who are supplying stunts and other devices to doctors, sir. So, sir, if we need to address medical corruption, it has to be a multi-pronged approach, sir. So, for that, first of all, I think, sir, the tender that is floated for the purchase of equipment by the medical colleges, sir, they should be put out in public domain, sir, so that there could be a study on this, sir.
It is not being done now.
Sir, in AIMS Patna, it is
No
not being done.
transparency.
Yes, sir, there is no transparency. And sir, this is one of the issues that we even took up when I was the council head in AIMS Patna, sir. So that there is some sort of transparency that ushers in the public domain, sir. Sir, secondly, there should be a standard operating procedures for how much even a government hospital could charge a patient for a surgery. Sir, recently all AIMS have been given this autonomy to have different slabs for different surgeries. And so therefore a cost of surgery in AIMS Rishikesh is higher than in AIMS Patna, sir. So then there is a cut that is given to other patients, other medical professionals or to other lab parameters. So that has to be addressed. So thirdly, I think lab facilities should be available within the premises of the hospital itself, rather than directing the patient to go to a lab which is located outside the hospital. So sir, this would be there. So fourthly, I suppose, sir, the budget, the quantum of budget that could be addressed at the level of director or sir at the level of head of department, sir, that needs to be regulated. For example, sir, in AIMS, we had this provision that the director of AIMS could incur expenditure up to some 4 or 5 crores. So, which was huge, sir. So now the government has taken step and this quantum has been reduced to a very respectable amount, sir. So, sir, I think that also is a good step that has been taken. It needs to be furthered, sir.
One IAS officer from Rajasthan,
Sir.
he was being
Yes.
one Mr. Sharma.
Shamit Sharma.
Samit Sharma.
Yes.
He recommended that the government should encourage distribution of what you call it?
Generic medicines. Sir, generic medicine.
Generic medicine,
Yes.
rather than distributing and buying
Branded,
branded
yes.
medicines at huge cost. Is it being followed in your state?
Sir, unfortunately, no, sir.
Unfortunately, no. That is the position all over the country.
Yes, sir.
So such a innovative suggestion has been made by an officer, and no action is being taken. This is really great.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Anshu, tell me something about the Watson, the IBM computer, which is utilized in diagnostics, and have you heard of the
No,
Watson?
Sir. Sir, I've heard of it. I may not have enough knowledge to
Okay,
have a
so it is a digital tool for the medical
Sir.
and clinical research,
Sir, okay,
and
sir.
it is able to diagnose a lot of things. You know, it analyze scans and other things.
Okay, sir.
Okay, please do read up about
Yes,
that.
sir. I'll surely read this.
Theoretically speaking, if we have such tool based on artificial intelligence, do you feel that it should be utilized in the context of Indian healthcare system? And what challenges do you visualize if we implement it?
Yes, sir. Sir, artificial intelligence should be implemented in the health sector, sir. Sir, although with certain regulations and caveats. Sir, I support this mainly because of few factors, sir. So firstly, as sir mentioned, that doctor-patient ratio is quite low in our nation, sir. For example, sir, radiology is one such department, sir, where artificial intelligence can diagnose many of the lung pathologies, sir. So, sir, there we can have an advantage. Sir, the second thing is that if doctors are freed up from looking into very minor things which could be diagnosed by a machine, they could be able to invest their time and resources into other work, sir. Thirdly, sir, AI system, if it is foolproof and the database of AI is huge, sir, that would also reduce the human error, sir, which mostly could be attributed to the doctor, sir. So artificial intelligence has a role, but sir, as you asked about the challenges, so sir, I would like to mention some. So the first challenge is medical science is about empathy of the doctor towards patient, and sir, no machine will be able to replicate it, sir. And sir, the second thing is whenever we need to break a bad news to the patient or to the relatives, sir, that I think is something that will be irreplaceable by the human interface, sir. And sir, thirdly, we need database for AI so that, sir, they are error proof. Otherwise, sir, if some amount of data is fed and on the basis of that data, the information or the result is taken out, so that may not have that kind of validity, sir.
You see, these systems, the database which already exists will come along with it.
Yes, sir.
See, if
Yes.
you import, I mean, theoretically speaking, from IBM or from whoever has got
Yes.
an equivalent of the Watson system, the database will be there. And building up database is a matter of time. It's a function of passage
Yes.
of with the passage of time. If your systems are in place, the database will build up. Okay, tell me, do you feel that there is a need for national health service in India?
Sir,
National health service.
Sir, although at architecture like National Health Survey, sir,
Service.
Service, sorry, sir.
Yeah.
National Health Service at the UK system,
Yeah,
is
something
precisely
on
what
those
you are
lines.
referring. So while that kind of system could be idealized, but sir, in the present circumstances, I don't think, sir, we have got that kind of fiscal capacity, sir, and architecture and infrastructure to implement it on such a huge level, sir.
Okay, so money is the one major constraint.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other thing?
So second is the fragmented nature of healthcare that exists in India, sir. And so we are having impromptu referral system.
That is why all the more reason a unified national health service.
So, but for that we need unification of the systems of health, sir, in private and public healthcare, sir. Sir, until we have that, a unified system would burden the
It would not prohibit or inhibit private healthcare system in any manner, but it would be something like my right to health ensured by the state.
Sir, but if we give people the right to health, sir, that would open litigations because of the constrained capacity of the state, sir. So as we can see today, the state is not able to provide right to health in truest aspect to all the citizens, sir.
Okay.
So if I demand health as my absolute fundamental right or as a fundamental right, sir, that may clog up the legal and the judicial systems. So, sir, I believe that the capacity expansion and infrastructure upgradation should be
But
taken.
medical negligence cases, the people still go to the consumer
Yes.
forums, consumer rights forums, and even Supreme Court. Yes or no?
Yes.
So, clogging up the legal system will not be that can't be prevented. If somebody has been at the receiving end on account of medical negligence, that person will definitely seek redressal. Do you feel so?
Yes, sir. I feel so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Supriya. Wait outside, we call you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Come in, please. Dr. Supriya, have your seat. Interview is over. Relax.
Yes.
देखिए हमारे तरफ से तो we are absolutely impressed.
Thank you, sir.
You should make it. I mean, there is no reason. God willing, God is great, but there is no reason why you should not make it this year. तो मेरे हमारी तरफ से तो एक्सेप्ट थोड़ा सा छोटा सा एक बड़े हम कहना नहीं चाहिए बट थोड़ा सा आपकी you will be wearing this sort of dress or you will be wearing
No,
sari
sir, I will be in sari.
And light color.
Yes, sir,
थोड़ा
light
light
color.
color
Sir, I
Cream or-
actually came from AIMS Delhi.
कोई-
We had
कोई-
some, so sir,
कोई-
I was
No problem.
sorry for that, sir.
No, it's okay.
तो थोड़ा साड़ी पहने तो
जी
ग्रेसफुल
सर,
लगता है
जी सर,
यूजुअल
जी सर।
स्टैंडर्ड
जी
ये
सर,
थोड़ा
yes,
लाइट
I'll do
कलर
that,
वगैरह मुगा सिल्क मत पहनिए ये तो गर्मी में है और थोड़ा कॉटन का ही थोड़ी लाइट कलर वगैरह ग्रेसफुल
जी सर।
हमारे आपकी तरफ से कोई पूछना है पूछिए वो यार
आप हमारा इंटरव्यू ले सकती हैं।
No,
हमारा
sir.
इंटरव्यू ले
So
लीजिए
it was my honor and pleasure to be interacting
नहीं,
with such.
really
sir.
No,
Wonderful.
actually, you are,
I
think,
there is no, we should not कब इंटरव्यू है आपकी
सर 22 अप्रैल को है।
वाला थोड़ा टाइम है जो you will be in Delhi or you'll go back to Patna and come back.
Sir, I will be in Delhi, sir.
You'll be Delhi.
Yes,
So
sir.
be एम्स के हॉस्टल में रहेंगे शायद आप
जी सर, एम्स सर मेरे
एम्स के-
कलीग्स हैं तो
आप
मैं अभी
colleague
वहीं
हैं,
पे
तो
जी
हॉस्टल में
सर
रहेंगे।
वहीं पे हूँ।
वो बस थोड़ा सा जो करते रहिए एकदम कूल माइंड योर ऑफ से कूल एंड whatever you do your morning work और अगर करते हो तो
जी
आप
सर।
भी एक्सरसाइज और फिजिकल थोड़ा जो भी
हाँ हाँ
करते
जी सर
रहिए
सर यस सर
have some good nutrition वगैरह good sleep you are doctor you know all
यस
that
सर ऑफ कोर्स।
good sleep don't take वो sleeping pill will मत लीजिए आप
जी,
डॉक्टर
नहीं
लोग
सर।
बस काफी ज्यादा लेते हैं don't be absolutely
Yes.
normal natural नॉर्मल कोर्स में आपका हो जाएगा there is no don't have to really put you're in the morning afternoon
सर इन द आफ्टरनून सेशन सर।
थोड़ा सा इसलिए थोड़ा सा टेंशन होता है बट थोड़ा गोइंग टाइम बहुत पहले मत जाइए वो बैठ के थोड़ा टेंशन आएगा थोड़ा जाइए रिलैक्स करिए you have done well there are so many things of course you keep on updating
Yes.
there is no end to updation
Yes, sir.
newspapers television
अच्छा sir's questions that sir asked on
थोड़ा सा
I'll
वो
read on
थोड़ा
that,
all
sir.
these
जी, sir.
पंचायत
I'll read on
things
that.
like and
Yes,
local self governments
जी,
वगैरह
sir.
वो
जी, sir.
थोड़ी सी अपडेशन बिहार normal economy as a whole
जी सर।
pandemic effect because may not be limited only to health
हेल्थ
mostly अपने health normal tendency आप health doctor है health of aims इसलिए but otherwise there may be others like foreign relation India's relation neighbors वगैरह then constitution
Yes, sir.
काफी सारे questions
Yes.
होता है case laws
Yes, sir.
then print में I think there are some internet में there are a lot of discussions and in-depth discussions वगैरह होती है तो उसको बोलिए because you got a good ideas very clarity so you can form your own ideas and very your eye contact very nice you involve everybody your body language expression excellent only चीज की knowledge थोड़ी भी आपको within local cell government not everybody
Yes, sir.
cannot know everything because your option is also mental science so obviously all these are that थोड़ी history Bihar का history भी archaeological sites right here is famous for all the
yes
archaeological sites वगैरह बड़े सारे
जी सर।
जो हड़प्पन का सिविलाइजेशन प्री हिस्टोरिक साइट्स बनी थी बहुत सारे हैं बिहार में बराबर केव्स वेव्स ये बहुत सारी चीजें उधर है जैन तीर्थंकर लॉट ऑफ जैन तीर्थंकर हिस्ट्री geography Nepal problem the flooding problem North Bihar gets flooded
साउथ
there are a lot of flood problem those these things and बाकी तो you know you have said very now Bihar का main problem economic country as a whole, border areas, Jammu Kashmir, and all these northeast, so many issues, recent developments, northeast, PSA removal,
हाँ आसपास
Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Gadchiroli, Green Corridor,
yes sir।
extremist problem,
जी,
all these. तो मतलब have some broad idea and you are you are very candid and very but give a thought and sorry sir I don't remember so basically your body also is very shows the body language humility everything so anything you want to ask कुछ है आप
sir I think I got very nice feedback sir।
you are ready
You
you are
watch the
ready
video.
जी सर I'll watch it
ये तो
sir।
आपको दे ही देगा थोड़ा वीडियो भी देख ले
जी सर।
अपडेट की थोड़ा इकोनॉमिक न्यूज पर थोड़ा एम्स में आता हुआ वो जो उसका लाइब्रेरी में चले जाए लॉट ऑफ
हाँ सर वहाँ पे है
इकोनॉमिक
सर
न्यूज़पेपर
इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स में आता है
इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स वगैरह थोड़ा पढ़ते रहिए just you don't have to every line just keep an idea just an idea just क्या हो रहा है देश पे क्या हो रहा है international one with so many things happening but otherwise so many things multilateral beam stake the quad the 2+2 dialogue so many things are happening all these क्या basic क्या हो क्या रहा है बस something. And your, of course, your hobbies, gap, anything you wrote in gap,
Yes, sir.
backwards forward, you
जी
must
सर,
know.
जी सर.
Justify skit, as a for example,
Yes,
I
sir.
asked you, somebody Notre Dame school, ये
Yes,
सब
sir.
चीजें, all
Yes, sir.
these.
जी सर.
Notre Dame school क्या है? Notre Dame कौन थे?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame क्या
क्या
है?
है?
That
जी
was
सर.
book है. all
Victor
that.
Hugo, yes, sir.
And all these ना Victor Hugo वाला
हाँ जी
है,
सर,
तो
Victor Hugo,
क्या है,
yes.
उस बुक तरफ पढ़ लीजिएगा, आपको
अच्छा,
नोटर
ठीक.
डम का कोई सामने से हंचबैक एंड नोटर डम का बुक पढ़ा है, विक्टर ह्यूगो क्या,
ठीक है
विक्टर
सर.
ह्यूगो क्या, बैकग्राउंड, ऑल दैट एक बार शुरू होता है. So thank you very much. I suppose Dr. Anshu Priya, you should make it, and we will remember you with a lot of pleasantness. And you are a person who should make it. I mean, you are a country needs people like you.
Thank you, sir. Sir.
So you will make it, and just keep your cool. You will obviously keep your cool, but just keep your cool. God willing, have faith in God. Obviously,
Sir, do I speak fast?
not
Sir, loud,
okay.
fast.
But थोड़ा सा आपके आंसर जो बहुत लॉन्ग
Sir, वही मैं पूछना चाह
I
रही
was
थी सर.
going to refer, but since your knowledge is so prodigious and they're bound to be longer
Sir.
time to.
जी सर, जी सर. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, I'm working on
तो
this,
थोड़ा
sir, कि
उसको
थोड़ा
shorten
उसको और
कर
short
दीजिए
करके.
and focus.
ये बहुत नोटिसेबल नहीं है, बट ये एक्चुअली बीज ऑलवेज so but always paraphrase it, sir. First sir, second
Second, जी
bullets,
sir. Okay, sir.
bullet form.
Hmm.
First sir, second sir, third, fourth, and you know how to stop. Then stop.
You are a doctor, be clinical.
Clinical,
हाँ, yes, sir,
clinically
of course.
crisp and
Crisp,
short,
precise answer.
crisp and precise, short, stop. And they
And
come
you have
to
an interesting birthday. Some questions may be asked on
Yes,
it.
sir.
इनका बर्थडे कौन क्या
सर
है?
First
अप्रैल
April.
स्कूल डे को
फर्स्ट
है.
अप्रैल.
सर वो मैंने प्रिपेयर किया है सर, उसका रीजन
उसने
क्यों है
आपने
सर.
करा नहीं, आपका तो इट इज नॉट इन योर हैंड्स ना, गॉड विल लीव लाइक दैट.
No, just a question. Somebody may.
ना उसको वो
सर
अगर
इट्स अ
क्या
इंटरेस्टिंग डेट सर.
इंटरेस्टिंग डे है तो वो करेगा सर ये गॉड्स विल.
So my name also I heard that it's the name of a boy.
अंशु प्रिया.
अंशु प्रिया.
सर अंशु. तो
हाँ.
वो सर लड़कों का नाम होता
ना,
है.
अंशु प्रिया.
अंशु दोनों होता है, लड़का लड़की दोनों के
दोनों ही
नाम
होते हैं. अंशु दोनों का एक का
family meaning है.
I know an IAS officer from Rajasthan whose name was Anshu Vash.
Sir, the Honorable Chief Secretary of
Chief
Delhi,
Secretary of
Anshu
Delhi, who
Prakash.
was-
वो भी वो दोनों ही हो
And,
सकता है.
फिर सर अंशु.
ना, but I know one.
Anshu Prakash.
दोनों.
मेरे बॉस का बीवी थे, उनका नाम है अंशु था, बीवी का नाम अंशुजा सर का.
सर मुझे पूछा है बोर्ड्स में कुछ और में, तो इसलिए
yes,
सर
कहता
जी.
ये पेरेंट्स ने, मैं सर माय पेरेंट्स चोज टू गिव मी, आई रियली डोंट नो.
Sir, my father chose Anshu, my grandfather chose Priya. Sir, then they reconcile कि अंशु प्रिया रख देते हैं.
तो उनके साहब ये मेरा अंशु, मेरा नाम अंशु नहीं, अंशु प्रिया है.
आपके यहाँ बिहार में वैसे भी ये
Sir, दो चलता है. Sir, that is because of the social justice factor. People tend to hide their caste surnames. Sir.
वो आपको सरनेम वगैरह.
सर मैंने जो पूछा घर पे कि क्यों रखा दो नाम, तो सर मुझे उन्होंने यही बताया कि जनरली दो नाम रखते हैं ताकि उनको ये ना दिखाना पड़े कि व्हाट इज देयर कास्ट एफिलिएशन.
ये प्रिया है, उसका सरनेम है.
जी सर, जी सर. यस सर.
ना काफी लोग मतलब ऐसे करते हैं, वो हाइड करते हैं वो.
जी सर, जी सर. यस सर.
तो ये क्रिस्प एंड शॉर्ट थोड़ा सा
Precise, जी सर,
थोड़ा
short.
जितना पर आपका देखिए, अब जिसका हमें पूछा उसका तो पूरा जवाब दीजिए, बट है थोड़ा सा पैराफ्रेज करें सर. फर्स्ट पॉइंट, सेकंड पॉइंट, लाइक दैट. फर्स्ट secondly, thirdly, fourthly, fifthly, sir. They say, okay, if you want to go to little depth, they will ask you.
Ask again. Yeah, sir.
So ये लिए wait करें, counter question, supplementaries के लिए wait करें.
जी सर.
So thank you very
ठीक है,
much,
okay.
Dr. Priya.
Yes sir. Thank you sir. Thank you sir. Okay sir.
Unacademy. Let's crack it.